Meghan Fox made her acting debut in the family film called Holiday in the Sun that was released in 2001. This came after numerous supporting roles in both film and television, as well as a starring role in ABC's Hope and Faith. Although without a shadow of a doubt her breakout role as an actor was when she played Michaela Baines in the blockbuster action film called Transformers. She would then reprise her role in the sequel called Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, but incidents with director Michael Bay are what many attribute to her decline in Hollywood. Fox had signed up to reprise her role for a third movie with the Transformers franchise and even had gone to rehearsals. However, she also did an interview where she compared Michael Bay to Hitler, and he apparently was willing to forgive her, but producer Steven Spielberg wasn't so pleased. You see, after Spielberg directed the movie Schindler's List, he founded the survivors of the Show of Visual History Foundation to combat bigotry and keep alive the story of Holocaust survivors. So it's not surprising that when Fox made this comparison, he didn't take it lightly. During an interview with GQ magazine, Michael Bay responded to a question about the termination of Meghan Fox from his film. He said, and I quote, "She was in a different world. On her BlackBerry, you gotta stay focused. And you know, the Hitler thing. Steven Spielberg said, fire her right now." Now apparently Spielberg has denied this version of the events, and Meghan's representation told People magazine, "Meghan Fox will not be starring in Transformers 3. It was her decision not to return. She wishes the franchise the best." Now no matter who you want to believe though, this left the screenwriters for the film scrambling to rewrite the script given that a replacement for Fox was now required. Despite claiming to just not want to be involved with the film, Hollywood deemed Meghan Fox to be too difficult to work with. Screenwriter Aaron Kruger, who was on the team for Transformers: Dark of the Moon, told GQ in 2011 more issues that they had with Meghan adding to this point. In that article he's quoted as saying, "She was there for rehearsals, but she seemed like an actress who didn't want to be a part of it. She was saying she wanted to, but she wasn't acting like it." Following her comments regarding Michael Bay, 3 crew members who had also worked on the Transformers franchise released a scathing statement just trashing Meghan Fox. I mean, it's far too long to read out the entire thing, but I'll give you some of the highlights. In one section they say, "Michael found this shy, inexperienced girl, plucked her out of total obscurity, thus giving her the biggest shot of any young actress's life. He told everyone around to just trust him on his choice. He granted her the starring role in Transformers, a franchise that forever changed her life. She became one of the most Googled and ogled women on earth. She was famous. She was the next Angelina Jolie. Hooray! Wait a minute, 2 of us worked with Angelina. Second thought, she's no Angelina. You see, Angelina is a professional." The shade. Then in another section these crew members start to talk about Meghan's lack of interest while being on set. And who is the real Meghan Fox? She is very different than the Academy nominee and winning actors we've all worked around. She's as about ungracious a person as you can ever fathom. She shows little interest in the crew members around her. We work to make her look good in every way, but she's absolutely never appreciative of anyone's hard work. Never a thank you. All the crew members have stopped saying hi to Miss Princess because she never says hello back. It gets tiring. Many think she just really hates the process of being an actress." And as a follow-up to her unceremonious departure from Transformers, Meghan starred in a box office flop called Jennifer's Body. Then DC, wanting to hop on the train like Marvel with their Iron Man 1 film and Iron Man 2 film, they started using lower tier titles and released a Jonah Hex film in 2010. Millions of potential filmgoers asked the very good question of, what the hell is a Jonah Hex? Well, he's a grizzled 19th century bounty hunter with a burned face, played by Josh Brolin, while Fox played the love interest, an Old West prostitute named Lila Black. Jonah Hex proved to also be a huge box office flop, earning a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes and just $10 million at the American box office. Even Meghan Fox herself realized how bad that movie was. While at WonderCon in 2016, she was answering questions about which movie she would let her kids see, and here's what Meghan had to say. "Something like Jennifer's Body, I'm not going to let them see for a long time. Something like Jonah Hex, I'm not going to let them see ever. No one should ever see that movie." Came from herself. Now a lot of my thoughts about why Meghan wasn't being cast had a lot to do with the projects on her resume more than who she is as a person. The reality is that most actors are difficult to work with, but if they are a big star, then the whole film crew just kind of bites their tongues throughout the filming. However, Meghan has noticeably made a move to other mediums. She's doing more comedy with her temporary time on the sitcom New Girl, and she was just in Machine Gun Kelly's music video. But leave us a comment down below with your thoughts on what would be a better genre for Meghan Fox other than action films, because I think those days are gone now. If Steven Spielberg hates you, action films are out the window. Amber Laura Heard was born and raised in Texas and made her film debut in a minor supporting role for the sports drama called Friday Night Lights. Following that, she appeared in other smaller roles in both television and film, although her first leading role came when she starred in the horror flick called All the Boys Love Mandy Lane in 2006. However, the film was not released in the United States until 2013 due to distribution problems. By far her big breakthrough roles though came in 2008 when she was cast in the action film called Never Back Down and the stoner comedy Pineapple Express, both of which were huge box office success stories. Now Amber is still booking roles roles. Recently she took part in a TV series called The Stand, and she has one other film in pre-production. In 2011, Amber Heard worked opposite Johnny Depp in the film called The Rum Diary. The movie was about an American journalist, Paul Kemp, who takes a freelance job in Puerto Rico for a local newspaper during the 1960s. The movie follows him as he struggles to find balance between island culture and the expatriates who live there. A few years after Johnny Depp and Amber Heard first met on that set, the two began dating after Depp and longtime partner Vanessa Paradis called it quits. At the same time, Heard had also split with her partner Tasha Van Reed, although that separation is really where Amber began formulating a bad reputation. According to USA Today, Amber was arrested in 2009 for physically assaulting her then girlfriend Van Reed at the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport in Washington. Apparently the two had gotten into a disagreement after Heard allegedly grabbed and hit Van Reed's arm. All charges were eventually dropped, with Tasha claiming that the situation was over-sensationalized in the media. Regardless, the general public just saw the headline of Amber assaulting her girlfriend, and thus the narrative was off to the races. By 2015, Depp and Heard had gotten married in a private ceremony at their home in LA. Later that year, Amber found herself in more trouble after she breached Australia's biosecurity laws when she failed to declare that her dogs were arriving with her in the country. As a result, the couple had to do this super cringy apology video together. Fast forward to 2016, and that's where this couple's toxic side really began to show. On May 23, 2016, Heard filed for divorce from Depp and obtained a temporary restraining order against him as well. At the time of the divorce, Amber alleged that Depp threw a phone at her, leaving the actress with a bruised face. Although a police spokesman told People magazine that an investigation into the domestic incident radio call found no evidence that a crime had actually taken place. Depp continued to deny the allegations made against him, and through his legal representatives, they believe Heard had concocted the story in an attempt to secure premature financial resolution by alleging this abuse. Now, here's perhaps a really good reason to never trust Amber Heard. According to The Hollywood Reporter, after their divorce was finalized in 2017, it included a non-disparagement clause, which prohibited either party from saying anything negative about the high-profile relationship and the subsequent breakup. You'd think that the drama would have ended with that, but nope. The following year, Amber wrote a scathing op-ed piece for the Washington Post in which she completely disparaged Johnny Depp without directly mentioning his name. It was very sneaky and opened up a can of worms that just couldn't be closed. In the op-ed, Heard writes, "I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out," which is just an outright lie. She did not become a public figure representing domestic abuse, unless she's including that assault on her former girlfriend. She isn't though. She's trying to say that she was the face of domestic abuse after the police confirmed that there was no evidence of this. Yet still, she fully believes that she is the victim of our culture's wrath, when in reality, it was the public responding to someone lying through their teeth. The biggest indicator that she is truly living inside of her own bubble is this statement. "I'm old enough to remember that in 2017 we were going through what was called the Me Too movement. Plenty of powerful and prominent men were either arrested or fired for their inappropriate actions. I'm sure by now you're starting to get the gist of why Hollywood shouldn't be casting Amber. I mean, if you consider lying as a form of acting, well then she's pretty good at that, but I don't think they do. And from a studio standpoint, why would you ever trust someone who has repeatedly tried to change the narrative while accepting no blame whatsoever? That doesn't really seem like the type of person that you would want to work with." Additionally, the number of signatures to have her removed from Aquaman 2 has now surpassed 1.5 million and is on its way to 2 million. That is a big deal whether Hollywood wants to admit it or not. If you put Amber in anything now, you know that there will be an outpouring of Johnny Depp supporters who will either try to get it taken down or just outright advocate for a boycott.
Taylor Lautner used to be a very prominent actor in Hollywood, going from child star in Shark Boy and Lava Girl to the heartthrob in the Twilight Saga. Taylor had a good thing going for him, but since then he's slipped through the cracks and we don't really see him in very many productions anymore. Why is that? Well, dear viewer, I'll tell you. Compared to his former castmates like Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, Taylor wasn't able to hold on to the success that he got from being in the Twilight movies. In fact, it was right after the series ended that Taylor's career started to fumble. Like any other actor would, he started looking for work and he was cast in a few movies. His first film after Twilight was Abduction, and unfortunately it bombed at the box office. Following that failure, he was booked in another role a few years later in the film Tracers, and that didn't do very well either. At this point, Hollywood was starting to notice this new pattern of movie failures, and it was at this point that Taylor's career started to suffer. Before I continue on with the video, I just want to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far. Thank you for your support and for helping our channel grow, we really appreciate it. The films Taylor starred in following his time in the Twilight Saga were both action films, and since they both ended up tanking and getting poor views, people started thinking that maybe Taylor just wasn't cut out for these kinds of movies. I mean, when you think about it, he became a big name actor through Twilight, and his character was essentially there for the sex appeal. He was good at looking good and being dramatic. After all, it was a teen drama film. So coming out of that and seeing him fail at being an action star, people just assumed that since Taylor was Jacob Black for so long, that he was lost in Twilight's shadow. Even though Taylor branched out from action and tried comedy, his 2016 film The Ridiculous Six failed as well, and is also one of the few films to have a 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So now at this point he's failing as an actor. He's not getting booked for any new roles because of the fact that productions that he's been in have failed, and people are thinking that Taylor just can't hold his own. Taylor has said that after Twilight was over, he wanted to branch out and try different styles and genres, since he'd really only been in one or two things throughout his career before then. He didn't want to become a stale actor, but unfortunately that's what he was becoming. On top of that, no one wanted to hire him because of his asking salary. Though he still saw himself as a big name actor, other executives did not, so his asking salary of $10 million per production seemed a little too steep a price point for taking a risk on Taylor. All of this was just hurting Taylor's career even more. You see, so many people are saying that Taylor needs to grow as an actor, and to do that he needs to be in a bunch more productions so that he can evolve his acting style and be able to adapt better to life outside of Twilight. He was in that franchise for so long that he's almost forgotten what else is possible for him. But on the other side of things, he isn't being given the chance to evolve and grow as an actor because Hollywood just won't give him a chance. They've seen his movies fail and they don't want to risk it again. Kristen and Robert were able to make it and grow out of Twilight and become bigger actors, so why can't Taylor? And how can you grow like his former co-stars? The answer is indie films. After Twilight ended, both Kristen and Robert dabbled in the indie film scene, and since these are out of Hollywood's reach for the most part, anything goes. These films have smaller budgets and don't have major corporations breathing down their necks, so really anything is possible on the indie scene, and things are more creatively liberating. But how does this help actors? Well, it gives them the perfect opportunities to grow. Like I mentioned, Robert and Kristen were able to shed their Twilight skins, if you will, and were able to outgrow that franchise because they took some time to act in indie films and grow as actors. Though they're still questioned about Twilight and compared to their roles from those days, they're also still cast in a lot of big Hollywood films because Hollywood knows that they're more versatile. I mean, Robert has gone from Twinkly Vampire to Batman, so success is possible. If Taylor wants to do what he said and grow as an actor, indie films are the perfect place to start. There are an array of different roles to film and so many genres to try out, and since they're independent films, there's more creative freedom and place to grow than within a big budget corporate Hollywood film. If he takes some time to grow in the indie scene, he might be Hollywood ready in a couple years, and he could very well make a comeback, even to the degree of Kristen and Robert. Right now though, it doesn't seem like he's all that interested in making his return. He's reportedly working on his relationships, his family, and himself, but maybe if he feels like he's ready to try again, we could see a second coming of Lautner. Now I want to throw it over to you guys and get your opinions in the comments. I know we haven't seen very much coming from Taylor in recent years. He's been in a few episodes of Scream Queens, but other than that, we haven't really seen much else from him. Do you guys think he can make a comeback, especially if he tries indie films like I had suggested? There have been so many other Twilight actors who were never really able to pick up on their fame since the saga ended, so do you think that Taylor can do it? I know he's had some movies tank in the past, but I don't know, I just feel like he wasn't given a fair chance. Hollywood saw him as a goldmine of potential at first, but later on when things didn't pan out, he was basically just dropped. But I feel like Robert and Kristen were given a better chance because they were slightly more famous and likable in the industry. It's all just speculation and my own opinion, but let me know your thoughts on the matter. I would personally love to see Taylor make a comeback, and not as the guy with the muscles, but in a real meaningful way, you know? Also, he could have used the Shark Boy and Lava Girl reboot to make a comeback, but he didn't. He turned it down instead. Does this mean that he's done with acting? I don't know. I think I'm just mad because he would have made that movie great, especially if he rebooted the Dream song.
Katherine Heigl was one of the biggest actors in Hollywood for a few years back in the early 2000s. But after she gained a terrible reputation and got into a massive scandal, she was essentially blacklisted. Lucky for her, she seems to be slowly making a comeback. I'm Mackenzie, and today I'm going to be breaking down what happened to Katherine Heigl's career and why she might be making a comeback. Katherine Heigl was introduced to the general public when she was cast as Dr. Isabel Stevens on Grey's Anatomy in 2005, and she was quickly considered the breakout character. And even though the show made her a star, it also caused her downfall. Then in 2007, she starred in rom-com hits like Knocked Up alongside Seth Rogen. Then that same year, she won an Emmy for her performance on Grey's, winning the Best Supporting Actress Drama Award. Then she starred in rom-com 27 Dresses, which was a huge box office hit. And because of all of this happening in a short time, she became a bona fide celebrity, a regular on Hollywood's sexiest lists and magazine covers. In 2008, she was even voted the most desirable woman, according to AskMen.com. That same year, she was primed to win the Emmy again for her role in Grey's, but she made one entitled move and it cost her whole career. Right before the Emmys, she pulled herself out of contention for the award, with her reason being that she didn't think her role in season 4 was, quote, given the material to warrant a win. Saying in a statement, quote, I did not feel I was given the material this season to warrant an Emmy nomination, and in an effort to maintain the integrity of the Academy organization, I withdrew my name from contention. In addition, I did not want to potentially take away an opportunity from an actress who was given such materials. And obviously, a move like that is not only ridiculous, but also incredibly shady towards the show's creator and writer, Shonda Rhimes, as well as everyone else on the show. And Rhimes actually had a reason for not giving Heigl as much material. Apparently Heigl told her that she wanted a lighter work schedule, and the show acted accordingly. But after that, even though plenty of people absolutely hated Heigl, she still managed to book some more roles. She starred in The Ugly Truth, Killers with Ashton Kutcher, and Life as We Know It, all which had pretty good success and she was paid very well for. But the situation for Heigl went from bad to worse on March 11, 2010, when she reportedly did not show up for work on Grey's Anatomy, and Rhimes reached an agreement to immediately release Heigl from her contract. And although the show played it off as cool in the beginning, Rhimes later told Oprah Winfrey that Heigl's Emmy statement stung, saying, quote, on some level it stung, on some level I was not surprised. Adding, quote, when people show you who they are, believe them. I carry that with me a lot. It has served me well. Then even admitting to The Hollywood Reporter later on in 2014 that Rhimes has a, quote, no policy. Adding, quote, there are no Heigls on set and I don't put up with bullshit or nasty people, hinting at their feud. To make things worse, around the same time, Heigl received a Golden Raspberry Award nomination for Worst Actress. Yikes. Then 2 years later, when Heigl's career was looking really rough, she actually went back to the show and begged to get back on set and finish out Izzy's storyline, even saying that she missed the show and the work environment in general. But of course, they did not take her back after she embarrassed them like that. This is when the bad really started, and in the 2010s, whatever role she had was generally a flop. Heigl finally apologized for her Grey's snub in a 2016 interview with Howard Stern, admitting that she was embarrassed and actually approached Rhimes after it all went down to apologize. Saying in the interview, quote, I went in because I was really embarrassed, so I went to Shonda and said, I'm so sorry, that wasn't cool, I shouldn't have said that. And I shouldn't have said anything publicly. But at the time, I didn't think anybody would notice. I just quietly didn't submit and then it became a story. I felt like I was obligated to make a statement. But after some time in the dumps and showing remorse for her bad actions, it seems that Hollywood has given her another chance. This came in the form of Meghan Markle leaving Suits to get married to Prince Harry, with Heigl taking Markle's spot. Heigl was cast as Samantha Wheeler in season 8 of the hit show, saying it all happened because she was obsessed with the show, and even contacted the creator to see if there was a potential that they could collaborate. And luckily he needed someone for the show and ended up casting Heigl for the role. And when speaking about the role, she said, quote, I am playing one of the most interesting and bad women I have the opportunity to play. But that's not all. She was also cast in Firefly Lane, a Netflix series based on the novel by Kristen Hanna. So after all the drama, it seems like she might be making a comeback once again. And all fans can hope is that she learned her lesson and will not squander the new opportunities that she has been given. So that's all for the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts on Katherine. Personally, I always loved her as an actress and liked her in the roles that she played. But when I found out later about her being like a major diva, it definitely left a bad taste, you know? But from the Suits promos that I've seen, it seems like she's settling into the role really well, and I hope she can do the show justice, because it used to be one of my favorites, to be honest. But then, honestly, in the later season, it kind of went downhill. Just the, classic story. Most TV shows.
Johnny Depp has really been put through the ringer as of late, with Warner Brothers pressuring him to step down from Fantastic Beasts and Disney removing him from Pirates of the Caribbean. Many are worried that Depp's acting days may be numbered. If you haven't figured it out already, Hollywood is filled with double standards, and today we'll be breaking down exactly why Hollywood is not casting Johnny Depp anymore. But first, before we go any further, make sure to tap that like button to show some love to the channel. Now let's get back to Johnny Depp. Before Johnny had lost his libel case with the Sun newspaper, many production companies were deciding to stay out of the whole situation involving him and Amber Heard. Warner Brothers even said that they were refusing to pick sides, and back in 2017, both the director and producer of the film defended keeping Depp in the series. Although once the hammer dropped and the judge ruled in favor of the newspaper and their original statements calling Depp a wife beater, everyone began to distance themselves. Depp then released a statement on his Instagram and said, "In light of recent events, I would like to make the following short statement. Firstly, I'd like to thank everybody who has gifted me with their support and loyalty. I have been humbled and moved by your many messages of love love and concern, particularly over the last few days. Secondly, I wish to let you know that I have been asked to resign by Warner Bros. For my role as Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts, and I have respected and agreed to that request. Finally, I wish to say this: the surreal judgment of the court in the UK will not change my fight to tell the truth, and I confirm that I plan to appeal. My resolve remains strong, and I intend to prove that the allegations against me are false. My life and career will not be defined by this moment in time. Now, regardless of how much he wants to fight, these court rulings are going to be hard to come back from. Just a few years ago, Johnny Depp was one of the highest paid actors in the world, but after allegations of domestic violence, he essentially became box office poison. Not to his fans, obviously, but to the executive producers who are worried about being accused themselves of supporting an alleged wife abuser. That's where this whole situation of Johnny Depp being pushed out of Hollywood really stems from. According to a Washington Post report, Disney is said to have fired Depp from their Pirates of the Caribbean franchise 4 days after Amber Heard's 2018 op-ed article. The odd thing is that the article never actually named Depp, so Disney just acted on instinct with no evidence, purely to save face. Then, to make matters even weirder, they claimed to be removing Depp to add a new energy and vitality to the franchise, which was most likely a cover-up, seeing as though they acted swiftly on this disparaging op-ed piece from Amber Heard. Although another reason why Hollywood could be refusing to cast Depp is his price tag. According to Forbes, Depp's salary, including his profit percentage, works out to around $100 million per film for the Pirates franchise. That being said, the last film hit crazy box office numbers. Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales registered a box office haul of nearly $800 million, which is even below the over $1 billion totals of the franchise's second and fourth films. With the third film, I think it was grossing somewhere in the ballpark of like $960 million. Whatever Disney is planning on doing with that extra $90 million or $100 million, it better be a decent replacement for Johnny Depp, because if not, all this money will do is cover a tremendous loss at the box office. So far, the only company that has defended Johnny Depp is Dior. Depp has been the face of Dior's fragrance Sauvage since 2015, and even amid backlash from defending him, they still refuse to fire Johnny. So it's possible that we will begin to see Depp transitioning from major box office films to representing more companies that don't mind having a controversial figure as their frontman. After their ad aired during the Great British Bake Off, the Advertising Standards Authority said that they received a total of 11 complaints about the ad, with the complaints believing that Johnny Depp shouldn't be in it due to the details concerning his recent court case. However, the company has been thriving on controversy for years now, and having Depp represent them has never been a better fit. Regardless of Hollywood not wanting to hire Johnny Depp anymore, he still has millions of supporters. It's also very possible that through these supporters, Johnny Depp will be able to leverage more studios that will back him. He said hopefully.